Good evening. It is now 6 p.m. We will go ahead and get started this evening. When you are speaking, please be sure to unmute your microphone to be heard on the broadcast. The public who did not register in advance can watch the live broadcast on the city's YouTube channel. For Spanish translation services, please dial 720-386-9023 and use code 104091 *. Para servicios de traducción en español en vivo, por favor marque 720-386-9023 y use el código 104091 *.
Okay, I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Board of Adjustment to order. Will staff please do roll call?
Board Member Leffel. Present. Board Member Frey-Waite. Present. Board Member Hernandez.
Present.
Board Member Poe.
Here.
Board Member Douglas.
Present.
Chair, you have quorum.
Great, thank you. Will you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Can I get a motion to approve the January 13, 2026 meeting minutes?
I motion to approve the minutes of January 13, 2026.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that motion.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Frey-Waite and a second by Board Member Leffel. Please open the electronic voting.
Madam Chair, I'll be abstaining because I was not in attendance.
Thank you. We have 4 yeses. That passes. Motion passes. Thank you. I will now open the public hearing on case AV 25-001, Joseph Rubio Carport Setback Reduction. As a reminder to the board, staff will present, followed by the applicant. At the conclusion of both of these presentations, I will open the floor for any questions from the board. Once all questions have been asked, the public will have their turn to speak on the case. We will start with members of the public attending in person before moving on to those attending virtually. With that, I will ask Planner Omar Yusuf to please announce the case and to present the case.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Thank you for being present here tonight. Before you, sorry, it's the, there we go. Before you here this evening, we have AV 25-0010, variance approval to reduce 5-foot setback from the front facade of the house to 0 foot, 5-foot reduction for an existing attached carport. This regulation is straight from the Layden Street Townhomes PUD. Location 6388 East 78th Avenue. And the zoning is a PUD in the Layden Street Townhomes PUD. The character area is identified. It's located in the central neighborhoods. The site size is 0.04 acres. There are 2 related cases. First one would be the code enforcement code 25-4879 and a building permit RADD 2400064. We have an aerial present here facing 78th Avenue, and there are zoning map would identify adjacent to on the east side is unincorporated Adams County. To the north, we have City of Commerce City, residential, mostly zone designation of R2. To the south, you also have unincorporated Adams County as well. And to the west, you also have the PUD in Layden Street Townhomes. As per the Layden Townhome subdivision, there are no easements on the property preventing this the carport from being established. Photos of the property before the carport structure was built, and carport during construction. There's a storage area on the east part of the carport. Site plan shows that it's right flush with the front facade of the house, which scope of the request. It's approximately 18 feet by 15 foot and 6 inches on the east side of the house. The elevation shows at its highest point is at 10 feet, sloping down to 8 feet down to where the storage area is located. We haven't, as of today, we have not received any written comments or phone calls regarding this application. Just going through the approval criteria. First criteria is the physical character of the property, including dimensions, topography, or other extraordinary situation or condition of the property, create a situation where a strict enforcement of the standards in this land development code will deprive the property of privileges generally enjoyed by the property of the same classification in the same zoning district, hardship. Therefore, it can be found that this application does not meet this criteria. The hardship is not self-imposed. Therefore, it can be found that this application does not meet that criteria as well. The variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property. Therefore, it can be found that this application meets this criteria. In criteria B, if one of the following criteria is met, the variance granted is the minimum needed for the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure. This one, therefore, this application does meet this criteria. And lastly, the character of the district will not be changed by the granting the variance. Therefore, it can be found that this application meets this criteria. Since this application does not meet 2 out of the 5 criteria presented, staff does not recommend the Board of Adjustment to approve this case. And staff is available to answer questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Board, are there any questions for staff? Board Member Fry-White?
Hello, Mr. Youssef. Can you go to the picture with the aerial of the properties? Thank you. So I noticed on a couple of the houses within the neighborhood from the aerial that they appear to also have carports off the building. And I was wondering if any known variances were granted for similar homes within this neighborhood.
Upon doing research, there has been no variance application for any other properties with similar structures.
Okay.
And I have a question. I was curious to know when the City of Commerce City annexed the Layden Street Townhome PUD. Do we have that info?
Believe it's 1985, last time I saw it. And also the PUD was also approved by the Adams County Commission. So that was also transferred to the city as well.
Thank you. Any other questions? Board Member LaFell?
I wanted to ask about the carport specifically. Would this be considered an engineered structure with a blueprint and a stamp and those sorts of things? Is it an engineered structure?
I believe the building department does require engineer stamps when under some metals. I don't have anybody from building to confirm that right now, but
So we don't know if it came from a blueprint or they just designed it on their own. We don't know that information?
Well, we do know that the board, or the building division has approved the permit, correct? It's just waiting for the outcome of this variance?
That's correct, yeah.
So the drawings that they submitted with their building permit comply with the building division's standards for what constitutes an adequate submittal.
Well, that was my question, to find out if it was designed off from a blueprint or if they just designed it on their own. So it sounds as though the answer is it was from some sort of a engineered type structure, although it may not actually be.
It just has to be designed in accordance with the building code and has to be stamped by either an architect or an engineer. So it doesn't have to be a prefabricated set of drawings. It can be a custom design. And the building division verifies that it complies with their requirements for a submittal when they do their review. So at this point, the structure was identified by code enforcement as not having a permit. When they were notified, they submitted a permit. Building division has approved the permit, but the outcome of this variance hearing will determine whether that structure complies with zoning and therefore can stay or has to be taken down.
Okay, well, my question was if the structure was approved as built. And it seems as though you say the building department has said it's okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
Great, thank you. And Board Member Fry White?
So I have two questions. The clarification of the variance request is a 0 side yard setback, correct?
From the Layden Street PUD does not have a side setback for the principal, for accessory or principal structure. The request before you today is 5-foot reduction, to reduce the 5-foot reduction from the front facade of the home. The PUD has a strict regulation towards that, towards 5 foot from the front facade of the home. So as built today, it is at 0 feet from the front facade, correct?
So this doesn't have to do with the side yard?
Correct, yeah,
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
no problem.
And for the building permit, I'm just trying to follow along with the approval process. So the city approved for it to be built. We told them, go ahead, go build it, and now we're,
No,
no?
it was built without a permit.
Okay,
And then they subsequently submitted for a permit.
and then we approved the permit.
No. Building division has reviewed the plans.
Okay,
When planning reviewed it, we found that it violated the PUD. And that's what sent them down the path of requesting a variance.
so nothing's been approved?
The permit is sitting, waiting for the outcome of this variance hearing.
Okay, thank you. I thought I heard it was approved. I'm like, I'm very confused now.
Yeah.
And so, but that was in 24, and the code enforcement was in 25? They applied in 24? From your report?
Code enforcement action was preceded the building permit application. So that code enforcement action led to the application of the building permit for compliance.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member LaFell, you have a question?
I've got a couple more questions. Was this structure built on there before the gentleman purchased the property?
No, it was built 2020 as per our near map aerial.
I thought he bought it in 2021.
No, it was the
2000.
home was built purchased in 2001.
Okay, so he purchased it in 2021.
2001.
2000.
Okay, 2001, excuse me. Okay, my mistake there. So do we know who actually built it? Was it a contractor or is it the homeowner? Or?
I believe it was a owner permit, homeowner.
Built it himself?
Correct.
And the applicant is present tonight, so he can address you when you're done with staff questions.
Okay, well, I was just curious who built it, and I see that I'm clarified on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Board, are there any other questions for staff? Yes, Board Member Douglas?
Yes, thank you. Yes, a question I had too, as far as the purchase and all. And looking at the setback, looking at the aerial view, I'm going with the roof line. If you look at the roof line, it looks like the carport is set back from the house.
So that is the eve of the house. The eve that projects a foot out. Yeah.
Right.
But from the front facade of the house, it's flush with the carport.
And so to the right in this aerial view, that subject property to the right is in the county, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the property behind the home, is that in the county as well?
That's correct.
So just to the left on the block and then across the street, those homes are within the city. Is that correct?
I believe. No, that is the county. At the other side of Layden, on the west side of Layden Street, it's the county.
So just in the orange here, those, like, what is it, 10 homes are within the city,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
It was annexed like that, yeah, with
And
the
then
PUD.
everything that's ADCO is enclave, correct?
Unincorporated Adams County, correct.
Okay. So this was only identified from code enforcement?
Correct, from city staff, correct.
So city staff found this error, and so when the error was found, the applicant for this hearing, that's when they decided to submit a permit, correct?
That's correct.
And when, let's see, so it says here the submission was in 2025, but the applicant submitted for a building permit in 2024.
We do have someone from code enforcement that can address the timing.
Okay?
Hello, I'm Diana. I'm the I'm the code enforcement supervisor. I'm not the inspector on this case, but I do have background on it. Our inspectors opened a case in 2024. That was code 24-4879, and they opened the case in October of 2024, so specifically October 4th. Through that code enforcement case, there was multiple violations, there was multiple extension letters, and that's when the inspector cited for the building permit required. The application for the building permit was at the end of October 2024. The reason that you see a new code case, which is code 25-2034, is because for clerical clarity, the inspector closed the previous case. Some of the violations, like just general property maintenance violations, had been resolved. So she closed the case and opened a new one so that the new one was only related to the building permit requirement. It was just cleaner in terms of clerical case management. Was a cleaner way to manage the case.
So what was the date that this code violation was submitted? 2025?
The initial code enforcement action occurred on October 10th, 2024, and that was for the building permit requirement. The inspector noticed that the structure was built without a permit and issued a notice on October 4th, 2024.
Okay, so that carried until this was re-recorded for 2025?
Correct.
And what date was that?
I don't have the date which that new case was opened.
Okay.
I can try to find that for you.
So members of the board have additional questions?
No additional questions? No. Okay. No additional questions. Did you want to wait for the answer?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, actually, Board Member Fryway
Well,
had
hold-
another
one
question.
second.
Okay.
So, thank you, Madam Chair. On this carport, looking at the pictures while we're waiting for the answer, it shows a previous, where the house, right here, well, not that one, the next one, please. it was construction, so there's not a picture of after? This is just during the procedure, during the construction? I know the one on the right shows the completion, but it doesn't show the full thing.
That's correct. Yeah, I don't have the completed
Okay,
photo before you. Sorry.
so where the ladder is, that's where the storage is, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, on the east side of the property.
All right.
In regards to your last question, I have the answer. So the code case 24-4879, that was closed and reopened. So the date that that case was closed and case 25-2034 was opened was on October 4/23/2025. So April 23rd, 2025.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any follow-up with that, Board Member Douglas?
No, that's a question here and it was answered with storage.
Okay.
Thank you.
Board Member Fry White, you have a question?
So I just want, within the land development code, an attached carport is, even though it's attached to the house, is not considered to be a garage, or like, it is a carport and does not have side yard setbacks, correct? Yeah.
Yes, in the land development code for a residential zoned, it is 5 feet
For the side yard.
for the side yard, correct? But in this PUD, it does not state any side yard for any structure.
So can you just explain why the side yard is not being considered?
The PUD is silent on any side yard setback, so we did not apply that standard to this application.
So the land development code does not fill in the gap for a PUD agreement? Maybe Mr. Schaefer can, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, if a particular standard is not addressed in a PUD zone document, the typical standard is it defaults to the most relevant zoning district in the land development code. And I don't know the particulars on the specific standards of this PUD and whether it was just a 0-yard setback. But generally, a PUD zone document would refer back to the LDC on standards that are silent.
Okay, thank you. I'm good.
Any additional questions from the board for the applicant?
Yeah, do we know if the applicant, do they use it to park the car? Because it looks like there's a grade difference between, well, there's a fence there too. Do they use it to park the garage or just to stay out of the sun?
Yeah, I believe in the photos in the building permit, the applicant has his motorcycle that parks under that carport.
Okay.
We can confirm when we ask the applicant questions if you want to bring that up again. Yes. Board Member LaFell?
I wanted to ask just a little more clarification on this, the PUD and the side setback. So throughout the rest of the city, you would have a 5-foot side setback. Okay, this is a PUD that was established before the property was annexed into the city and is silent regarding the side setback. So since there's nothing said in that PUD about the side setback, wouldn't we default to the rule that's in place for the rest of the city, the 5-foot?
Historically, typically, and especially in this PUD, we don't, since it's silent on that 5-foot setback, we did not apply that on this application.
So does the PUD supersede the city rules?
Well, the PUD is the zone district, and it establishes the rules for development and the setbacks and the standards in the PUD area. I don't know the particulars of the standards, but generally, if a PUD is silent on a particular standard, it would default back to the city.
So
the
then we
most
should go
applicable
to the
city zoning
5-foot.
district.
Is that, we would use the 5-foot setback since the PUD is silent on the side setback? because we're not addressing that whatsoever in this case. So I don't see that the PUD has not made a statement regarding this side setback. Apparently, we default to the rules that are in place for the rest of the city, which would be the 5-foot setback. Would that be correct?
Yeah, I don't know the standards offhand, but it would default to the standard, the most applicable zoning district standard.
I think part of the problem that you encounter here is when the gentleman has built this within roughly 1 foot of his property line, it may be difficult to maintain the outer surfaces of that structure within a 1-foot gap without actually going on to the adjacent property in order to accomplish maintenance operations, painting, cleaning, whatever needs to be done. So I see that that creates a problem. Also, once you've went from a carport to turning it into effectively a shed, an enclosed shed, you almost aren't a carport anymore. You've enclosed it into a shed. That means the outer surface, the surface on the 1-foot side, is covered with some sort of a material that may need maintenance in the future. And perhaps his future neighbors don't want him coming on their property to do his property maintenance. So I don't understand why we've deviated from the 5-foot rule. There's nothing said in the PUD, so why are we standing on that? When the actual rule that's written and in place says 5 foot.
So, Mr. Leffel, thank you for clarifying that. The PUD document is very hard to read in the copy that was in your packet. So we're relying on Mr. Yusuf's verification that there's no side yard setback identified on the PUD. Because this variance wasn't notified or noticed publicly as a 5-foot deviation to the side setback. If the board were inclined to approve this variance tonight, then we would ask that you continue it so that we can re-advertise for that 5-foot side setback. If you're inclined to deny the variance tonight, then that point is kind of moot because you'd be denying it on the other measure of the front facade. So we would just ask that if the board is inclined to approve the variance, that you continue it to next month and let us re-advertise so that we can properly notify neighbors about the 5-foot setback deviation on the side.
Well, it does appear this will result in that deviation on the side setback, if in fact it was approved. I think I've got my answer to that question. Thank you.
Any additional questions for staff from the board?
Well, when the property was annexed, do we know what the setback was in the LDC at that time? Because some of this core city area, I believe it was 3 foot. Because we had a couple of cases like that where the side setback was 3 foot rather than 5.
If that were the case, that
Still a
would only
violation.
apply to a non-conforming structure and would make that structure legally non-conforming if it was built according to a previous code. But because this structure was built recently,
Okay.
it's subject to the new code.
Got it.
Board Member LaFell, did you say you had another question? Did you have another question you'd like to ask?
No, I probably shouldn't ask any more questions.
Okay, all right. Any additional questions for staff? Nope. Okay, awesome, great, thank you. Are there any are there any questions from the board to the applicant? And if the applicant would like to approach?
Yeah, the applicant is here tonight to answer any of your questions.
Thank you.
State your name and address.
This is Joseph Rubio. Address is 6388 East 78th Avenue in Commerce City.
Thank you, Mr. Rubio. And board, are there questions for the applicant? Yes, Board Member Douglas?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. I got a question for you. Looking at the pictures here, and where this storage is secured inside. So if we can go to the third picture, shows the structure right here. So showing the storage section that's added, does that go into the 1 foot outside of the poles in this picture? Or is it inside underneath?
The poles, the structure that's holding it up.
Yeah,
So the structure from the poles are 2 feet 4 inches.
okay, inside.
Yes.
So you,
That, and then plus I still have another foot 4 inches from the siding to the fence of the neighbor.
okay. So has that been sufficient to paint the structure?
Yeah, I already did it twice.
Okay, on the outside,
On the other side, yes.
okay.
So I left it enough room there. This was kind of, it just happened by accident, you know, so we just thought, well, why not build it? We were young and dumb and thought, well, we're okay. But now looking at it, it's like, well, now I'm here. So, but that's why we didn't enclose it, because it's already happened where the neighbor's garage burnt down, but the fire and ambulance and everybody was able to come through. That's why we didn't want to enclose it, just in case something like that happened. And they had enough room to get in and get out and do whatever they needed to do, so.
Okay, I know that's not within our packet. You said something about a fire?
Yeah, the neighbor's garage next door lit on fire.
In the county or your next door neighbor?
Next door neighbor, to the east.
To
of
the
where I
east.
live.
Okay. All right, those are the questions I have right now.
Great, thank you. Any additional questions to the applicant from the board? Yes, Board Member Furwhite?
Do you have a presentation? Hello. Do you have a presentation, or can you go over a little bit about why you're requesting it for us?
Well, so I didn't build it with a permit, which that was my bad. I just thought, well, you know, looking at Commerce City and you see the street that I live on, this, you know, I bought this place 25, 26 years ago. It's not exactly where your ideal place that you want to live. So we built it thinking, well, let's fix it up, let's make it look nice. And things just led to another, and we thought, well, this ain't bad compared to what we're looking at. So that's why we built it. And now I'm like, well, I should have pulled out the permit. So that was kind of on me, you know, should have pulled it out. But I didn't think it was gonna be that big of an issue thinking about it, because I'm like, you know, if you see what I see in the neighborhood, you'd be like, that's nothing, 5 feet. I mean, Commerce City it's getting cleaned up. It's just, you know, my wife and I sit out there and we're thinking, I'm going through all this for 5 feet, and we see stuff just right across the street, we see it every day. So that's why I didn't think it was gonna be that big of a deal, but kind of just happened like that. But it was actually, it's not thinking that this stuff was gonna happen. We built it, thought, well, what the hell, let's build it. But the day that Miss Ortiz, the inspector, came by was the day I got home from the hospital, which we didn't expect. We got into a bad car accident. And then from there, health issues arose. And now that's the only place I can cook, because the pills that I take now, I can't be out in the sun a lot because it just wears me out in 5 minutes. So that's now my new cooking place. So that's why I'm just like, well, I hope you guys don't make me take it down, because that's where I do all my cooking. So I don't park my cars, I don't work on mechanic, I don't do nothing like that. It's just basically just hang out and do my grilling and chill out with my wife.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Yes, Board Member Liffell?
So you're using this more like an outside patio rather than the storage for automobile?
Right, yeah, I never park a car in there. It's too tight. It's way too tight to, I mean, you could fit a car in there.
So if you can't get out once you pulled in?
It's pretty tight. I'm not exactly a thin guy, so, I mean, you could get one in there, but then the storage just came because it was there, and I thought, well, what the hell, you know, there's Christmas stuff there. So it wasn't that big of a deal. I thought, well, let's just throw some Christmas stuff in there. That's why it's there.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions for the applicant? Okay, great, thank you. Are there any members of the public that wish to provide comments on this case? None? Okay, great, thank you. Thank you. Yes, thanks. Okay, is there anyone attending virtually tonight who wishes to speak?
No, Chair.
Great. Okay, at this time, I will now close the public hearing for this case. Is there any discussion from the board?
Before we
Yes.
close public
Okay.
hearing, I did have a follow-up question for staff.
Okay, a follow-up question for staff? Okay,
I just wanted to clarify from staff, if it is just an overhang, like a patio roof, I don't know what it would be called, and not a carport, does that change the accessory building dwelling regulations?
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
So it is noted within the case that it is a carport, but as the applicant says, it is not a carport, it is more of just a patio roof. I was wondering if that changes the analysis for the case, per the accessory uses and accessory structure table.
Carports are included in that accessory structure table in our.
But what I'm asking is, he's saying it's not a carport, it is a patio roof, an attached patio roof, and so I'm wondering if there's a distinction between a carport and a roof, just a extended roof. I don't know what to.
I mean, if the property were to be sold, and it could be used as a carport, so that's, yeah, it's paved under, and there's a gate entrance and access to the public right away.
All right, thank you.
thank you. Okay. Any other follow-up that we want to ask staff before we close? Okay, all right, go ahead and move on. Okay, so at this time, I will now close the public hearing for this case. And is there any board discussion? Is it? Yes.
Reading the case and the variance criteria, I am in agreeance with the staff's recommendation to deny, as I do find it is a imposed hardship, and does not meet the 3 required criteria. And so I would be supportive of the recommended denial of the case. I do think that the side yard setback is an issue, but I don't think it needs to be continued to just deny it then, because I would be still apt to do that, but yes, that is my thoughts for my colleagues.
Anyone like to discuss that further or have any other discussion? Okay, seems that there's no additional discussion. So can I get a motion for this case?
I'll make a motion. I move that the Board of Adjustment enter a finding that the requested variance for the property located at 6388 East 78th Avenue contained in case AV 25-10 fails to meet the criteria of the Land Development Code, and based upon such finding, deny the variance. 1, for the physical character of the property, including dimensions, topography, or other extraordinary situations or conditions of the property, does not create a situation where strict enforcement of the Land Development Code will deprive the property privileges enjoyed by property of the same classification in the district. which is its hardship, and the hardship is self-imposed.
Can I get a second? Anybody wish to second? No second? Okay. All right. Without a second, this fails.
Right, the motion fails to receive a second, so we need a new motion.
Can I get a motion from the board?
Is there additional conversation folks want to have?
Any additional, any discussion we want to talk about?
Any thoughts?
Discussion concerning that particular motion or discussion in general?
Yeah, well, because that one just failed, so we don't have that, we didn't have a second for the denial, so we need another motion. Somebody would like to make another motion?
I'll make a motion to approve it as per outlined here. I move the Board of Adjustment enters a finding requested variance for the property located at 6388 East 78th Avenue contained in case AV 25-0010 meets the criteria of the Land Development Code based on such findings. Approve the variance subject to the following conditions. I don't intend on putting any additional conditions. There's my motion.
I'll second.
Second? All right. All right. So I've got a motion to approve from Board Member Luffel and a second from Board Member Poe. Right. Do we want to have any discussion, Board, before we move to the voting?
I have a clarification for our attorney. For an approval motion, we would have to cite, do we have to cite what conditions are approved? Especially since there's an and/or question in the approval?
Yes, you should cite, the motion should cite the, especially in subsection B, which one of the two items, criterion that the application satisfies. So I would suggest that a friendly amendment be made to the motion to cite either that the variance granted is the minimum needed for the reasonable use of the land, building, or structure, or that the character of the district will not be changed by the granting of the variance.
So I think you could include them both.
Certainly, you could include them both in your motion if that was the intent. If the intent of the motion was to, that all conditions A, 1, 2, 3 have been satisfied, as well as B, 1 and 2 have been satisfied. Is that the motion on the, that has been made?
It may not have been my initial motion, but it's my motion now. I don't have that right in front of me to review that quickly. So yes, I would include those as you spelled out into the motion.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And then
Is that okay, Mr. Poe, with your second?
Yeah, I'll accept that friendly amendment.
Okay, let's start voting.
Yes. Board Member Douglas?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'll be voting yes on this, and that's under the variance approval criteria A. A3, the variance will not be of substantial detriment to the adjacent property. And then B2, the character of the district will not be changed by granting of this variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Board Member Frywhite?
for my colleagues, the first section out of the two criteria requires all of the following criteria be met, which is the physical character of the property, including dimensions and topography, which I do believe that, I do not think that this particular property has any issues with meeting the criteria. And then this hardship is self-imposed, which is the second criteria, because it was built without a permit, and the permit came after it was noted and cited. If the applicant would have came before, I would have still not found the criteria 1 to have been met. So to me, I do not believe that this case meets all 3, which is required. And then for the section B, I do agree that the character of the district won't be changed, and so it does meet that one in particular. But I don't think criteria BI is met. And so because of the hardship is being self-imposed, I am not in support of this motion.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? I had a question. If, with that 5-foot side setback, is there a possibility we're going to see this case again?
Yeah, I would recommend that the board continue the case. The hearing and the application was for a setback 5 feet from the front facade. So as Ms. Vidlac mentioned and has been brought, that the 5-foot side setback was not part of the application, was not part of the notice, and was not part of the public outreach as part of this case.
Okay.
So if the board is inclined to approve, I would suggest that the case be continued to properly notice the full scope of the hearing.
Okay. Okay. We won't be voting on that motion if we do an override, if somebody does do a motion to approve or approval with conditions?
There wasn't a second on Jean's.
They can remove the motion on the floor and rescind it, or we have to vote on the motion and deny the motion to then have a secondary motion come up before us to continue.
Okay.
So either you guys can so kindly revoke your motion on the floor, and then we can put a motion to continue the case so that staff can republish.
Re-advertise.
Or else, if we do approve this particular motion that is on the floor, they will have to come back and do another variance, and which requires them to pay another fee and all this other stuff and wait to come back. So we can continue to date certain, which is next month, and it would be a more equitable response for our applicant. So if you would be so kind, I would be quite happy to continue our case.
You'd like to rescind? Board Member
Okay. I would withdraw that motion on the condition that we're going to rehear this when the case is properly brought to us with all the conditions that are pertinent to this case. I would say that this particular case brought as it sits today is defective. It's not complete. So I will withdraw my motion.
Thank you. Can
And
we get a motion? Oh, did you want to?
I think Member Poe has to agree, correct?
Yeah, I'll agree to that, yes.
Agree?
Thank you.
So that motion will be rescinded. Do we have other discussion before we?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion to continue case AV 25-10 to, what is the date certain?
March 10th.
To March 10th, 2026.
Did you want to read with the conditions?
The motion is to continue case AV 25-10 to date certain, which is March 10th, 2026.
I have a question.
Yes.
Wait, did you get your second?
No, I don't have a
I'll second on that.
Thank you.
I have a question. Why was this brought to us in this fashion and not brought to us as a complete process? Because this is really messy.
Yes, we apologize that we didn't identify that there was a side setback variance that wasn't notified until this evening. So had we understood that, we would have made sure that it was noticed properly. So
Yeah,
It's
because
our
you-
mistake.
because we're putting the applicant in a really bad situation. And coming back with the 5-foot, that just sets it up for failure. So I think going forward, we need to make sure that who's ever processing this, they get it right the first time, and that you don't put us in this situation before us, because that's really uncomfortable. And I'm sure it's really uncomfortable for the applicant, too. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Board Member Frywhite for approval with conditions of the re-advertisement to inform neighbors of the 5-foot setback, and we have a second by Board Member Poe. Any other discussion regarding this motion by the board? Okay, great. Thank you. If we can please open the electronic voting.
Excuse me, we're voting to continue this, okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, we've got 4 yeses, 1 no. Motion passes. This will be continued. And that was for March 10th for the continuance. Thank you.
And this item, because it was continued, will be the first up on the agenda in March, so that we can move on from this case to the other cases in March.
Great, thank you. Okay, is there any board business, oh, excuse me, is there any board
Could we
business?
have just one more little, when we bring this back on March 10th, hopefully we can decide what constitutes a carport specifically, and what constitutes a shed, an enclosed structure with doors that close up all the way around. And determine whether this is in fact a carport where you park a car, open structure, or is it a shed with an enclosed portion that can be secured and locked? And we figure out which this is.
I would agree with that commentary for when you come back.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, okay, so moving on, is there any board business to discuss at this time? Yes, Board Member Frywhite?
For a question more for staff, other board adjustments are traditionally standard conditions that are asked, requiring, for example, that you have to get a building permit and go through those processes. I was wondering, as we kind of move forward, if the staff could kind of review standard conditions that we can address to our motions to ensure that there is a nice succinct process from if you come here before getting a building permit, because that's kind of rare, but that it does put some stipulation and criteria requiring applicants to follow the rest of the chain. And so I was wondering if we can have those.
I appreciate what you're suggesting, Board Member Frywhite. I just don't think it's necessary, because the city's codes require that permits are sought. And as part of the staff's action letter that we write to an applicant after the outcome of a board meeting, we identify the next steps that they need to go through. So I just think it's extraneous to add those as conditions on the variance when we already have that covered through the Land Development Code and the instructions that staff gives to the applicant.
And applicants are required to comply with all other applicable laws, so they would need to obtain, whenever a variance is granted, whether the structure is already constructed or if it's to be constructed structure, they'd be required to obtain all required permits.
Okay.
Is there a period of time that if, say, there is a denial and for compliance, the structure needs to be removed, is there a period of time that they're given that if it's not removed, that the city does it at their cost, the cost of the applicant or the cost of the resident?
Yes, so generally, we would follow the normal code enforcement processes of reissuing and noticing it was denied, and that could either be a compliance plan for removal, and we work individually with the property owner on it, and when we stop seeing progress towards compliance, then we would go through the normal abatement hearing process for that.
Great, thank you. Yes, Board Member Fryway?
For the, part of the traditional standards, like for our variance, if we approved it tonight, there's no date that they have to get it done, correct? And then the variance goes away?
There is a lapse period for all approvals in the land development code. I can look up what the variance lapse period, Ms. Vidlock said she believes it's 1 year, but if the applicant doesn't take any action, the approval would lapse.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And then I was curious, when we have our next case for a possible study session, would be kind of cool on Bob's rules. I'm not so familiar with Bob's rules, and since the city utilizes Bob rules, other boards I sit on use Robert's rules, which you don't really follow, but that would be a cool study session at a future date.
Thank you.
That's my business.
Thank you. Any other board business? All right, we'll go ahead and move on. Is there any attorney business to discuss at this time?
No, there's none.
Thank you. Is there any staff business to discuss at this time?
No, there's none.
Thank you. Okay, the time is 6:57 PM, and we are now adjourning this regular meeting into a study session. At this time, I will ask staff to come forward to address the board with a presentation to follow.
Thank you, Board. We don't have a formal PowerPoint presentation, but we did include a memo in your packet. At the board's request at the last meeting, you requested that we identify what changes were made between the 2009 Land Development Code and the 2025 Land Development Code. Basically, the change, and this is your new alternate board member. He's going to be joining you for the study session.
Hello. Good. Welcome. Yes.
So if you compare the variance criteria between 2009 and 2025, they basically stayed the same. The big difference is that there are now common review criteria that apply to all applications. So there's a set of common review criteria in the 2025 code that apply to all different types of applications, from rezonings to development plans, conditional use permits, and in this case, to variances. So those new common review criteria speak to whether the variance complies with the applicable standards of the code and any applicable county, state, or federal requirements, whether the request substantially conforms to any associated prior approval for the development, including but not limited to a PUD zone document, conditional use permit, or overall development plan, whether the request is consistent with the applicable policies of the comprehensive plan and applicable sub-area plans and capital improvement plans. And then moving on, the request promotes the purposes of the Land Development Code and the purpose statements in the LDC. Adequate facilities, including public and private utilities, solid waste service, roads, drainage, and other improvements are present or are planned to be provided by either the city or the applicant. The request demonstrates compatibility with the surrounding conforming and permitted land uses and structures and with the general character of the area. And the request will not impede the normal and orderly development and improvement of surrounding area. So once we move through the city-initiated legislative rezoning this coming year, which we're just embarking on, then all the properties within Commerce City will be subject to the 2025 Land Development Code. And when you begin to see variances in the future after that legislative zoning has occurred, then staff will identify all the traditional variance criteria in the staff report, as well as these common review criteria. So there's a lot more to evaluate, but we basically held intact the variance criteria. The other change that was made is right now in the code, height exceptions are treated slightly differently than variances. And in the new 2025 code, we've really collapsed those because a height variance is just another kind of a variance. And so those are considered under the same criteria as all other variances. The other change that happens between the 2009 code and the 2025 code is many of you have not seen use by permits, but those of you that have been on the board for longer recall it's kind of like a mini conditional use permit, and applicants have to come before the board and demonstrate that they're not going to have any impacts on adjacent properties by getting a what's called a use by permit. That goes away in the 2025 code. So there's a new category of uses called limited uses, but those are approved administratively. And so staff has a set of criteria, you know, whether that's for gas stations or car washes, that we have to find the additional criteria for the limited use are met before we can approve that use. So it's just a higher level standard of review for certain types of uses that can have greater impacts. But those will no longer come to the Board of Adjustment. Are there any questions about the changes to the code?
So I just want to make sure I understand the criteria for just a traditional variance. So you're saying the height variance is now, it's just one variance across the board, and so height variances are included. And there's the addition of variance section D3 that's new to the traditional variance criteria?
Correct. Basically, we took the language from the height exception and we translated that into the criteria. So that's the new D criteria. And you have to make a finding that one of those criteria are met. So the variance is the minimum needed for reasonable use of the land. The character of the district will not be changed by the granting of the variance. The requested variance is required in order to reasonably comply with a state or federal regulatory change, or needed to overcome a technological limitation, or that the variance provides a demonstrated benefit to the city. So you only have to find that one of those criteria are met.
Can you describe what it, because the demonstrated benefit to the city is super vague. Can you elaborate a little bit more what the planning commission was referring to? Or
No, I was just gonna suggest if you could put this on the screen, it would help. I know the packet was given to us, but if you can put this packet on the screen, it really would help.
From that computer.
I mean, I have it, but I want to make sure everybody could follow through here. Would appreciate it. Thank you.
Or I could plug
They didn't
mine
give me a
in
copy of that, did they?
too. Let me just get to the,
it's page 4 is my question. In the middle. It's D5, D4.
Yeah, it's probably 3 pages. Yeah. I think you have it right there. Yeah, that's it right there. But it's nice when it's on the screen so you can. Thank you, Ms. Bidluck.
So the question was, what would be an example of the variance providing a demonstrated benefit to the city? One case I could think of would be a cell tower that provides cell coverage to the city. So you might make a finding that because people rely almost exclusively on their cell phones now, as opposed to the old, as opposed to landlines for emergency services and for communication, that is a service that should be accommodated within the city. And so you could make a finding that a variance to allow a taller cell tower height would provide a demonstrated benefit to the city.
So these criteria, though, like for the case that we heard tonight, this would be all the criteria we would be reviewing against, correct?
In the future,
In the
yes.
future? Yeah.
Okay. A sign, such as a city sign or a civic sign for a height variance
Yes,
would be an
that's
example?
That's another example.
Okay. And then I have a question. In 2009, did the planning department have administrative variance, the power of administrative type variances? And did that decrease, increase, or just is it new?
Thank you for that question. So the old 2009 Land Development Code did have a minor modification process, and that process is maintained in the new code. It just changed names to be called an administrative adjustment. But we still have the ability to allow a deviation up to 20% of the code standard administratively.
So prior to the change, it was 20%, so a setback could be 20%, and now it still stays at 20%?
Yes, still
Okay,
20%.
thank you.
And people can appeal that decision, correct? So if you denied someone, they can appeal it to us, correct?
Correct. A denial of an administrative adjustment can be appealed. I can look to see where I believe the Board of Appeals is the appellate authority, but let me confirm in the new code.
And Board Member LaFell has a question as well.
Are you ready for my question? Has the other one been handled? My question addresses that 20%, which you just referred to. I believe that's at the discretion of the director. And is it 10% higher or lower, or can we go 20% lower or higher?
So the director has the authority to allow a deviation of up to 20%.
Total, 20%.
20% of any standard.
Thank you.
Can you for the common review criteria, can you go over just how that intersects with the approval criteria? Is it all one review, or are they just more internal?
So the common review criteria apply to all different types of applications in the code, including variances. And so each of these criteria that's up on the screen will be evaluated in the staff report for variances. So our variance staff reports are going to get a bit longer as we evaluate against all of these common review criteria plus all the variance criteria.
Though we're not asked, it's just for commentary, correct? It's not what we're checking off.
No, you still have to make findings with regard to the common review criteria.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Board Member Douglas, you have some follow-up?
Thank you. So this is always, has been just a one-sheeter. So we're going to get a booklet then, as far as?
Well, the staff reports that we provide you will just be more in-depth
Okay.
because we will have an analysis of each of the variance criteria, and then we'll have an analysis of each of the common review criteria.
So based on each application.
Yes, for each individual application. Mhm.
All right. Thank you.
And to Councilmember Frywaite's question, administrative decisions are still appealed to the Board of Adjustments. So you do have the approval authority over any appeals from decisions of the Community Development Director, the building official, the floodplain administrator, and the city engineer.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Good. All right. Thank you very much for that
Yes.
information.
Thank you, Board. And at the recommendation, we'll come back with another study session in the future,
That sounds great.
as we heard tonight, yeah.
Thank you. And I would just like to welcome our new alternate to the board. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you, board.
So did you want to adjourn?
Let's see. Do we need to adjourn the study session?
Yes.
Officially? Okay, all right, thanks. Let me get the time here. The time is 7:13 PM, and we're now adjourning this study session, Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then on the front